Welcome everybody to FantasyGolfInsider.com webcast and podcast. I'm Jeff Bergerson, joined as always by my partner, Zachary Turcotte. It is good to be back, Zachary, after a couple weeks absence.
I don't feel very well rested.
No, I don't either. No. We are with FantasyGolfInsider.com, your number one resource for everything fantasy golf, including DFS golf. We are also available in podcast form on iTunes and Stitcher. You can check us out there and listen to us. Be sure to give us a good review. It helps us quite a bit, gives us a good ratings, and helps our search engine.
We need a little momentum going into next season. This is our last show of the year until January.
It's a big week. It's an exciting week. The championship on the European Tour is happening. It's the final PGA event.
Somebody tell DraftKings to get more excited.
Yeah. Aren't you excited with the minimal GPPs this week? That's really awesome, isn't it?
Thrilled. I guess they're just so overwhelmed by football. We keep hearing about how much money that they're losing again and again.
Yep.
Maybe if they learn how to size a contest or two properly, they'd make a little bit more money.
Or interest us in DFS golf to even enter GPPs. But now, just because this is the last event and there aren't going to be a lot of events, there will be a couple in between now and the first of the year, the Hero. And I don't know if they're going to have an international event for the Australian. We'll see. Probably not, but it doesn't mean you don't think about DFS golf. Last year we gather all of the data through all GPPs through the course of the year. We do a research study, and Zachary puts out an absolutely phenomenal series of articles in December detailing what the winning rosters did in GPPs. And it really gives you an advantage, gives you the information that you need to be a winning GPP player. So you'll be putting those out weekly in December and only December, because after that's over, it goes away and off the site. So it's kind of a thank you for sticking with us, even though there's only one event in December. We don't want a bunch of people dropping their membership and renewing it in January. So it's a lot of information that you absolutely need. So be sure to check out Zach's series coming in December. This week, let's talk about the OHL Classic, should we? Recap that a little bit. Your guy, Pat Perez, victorious.
Woohoo.
What were some of your takeaways, Zachary, from the OHL?
Well, we had a little bit of a frustrating week in terms of the cut line. We had 5 key players who were right at -1, went up missing by 1 stroke, which was pretty brutal. There was a whole slew of guys in that upper 8,000 to mid 9,000 range where all of them get wiped out. And that's always tough because it tends to be an area where you're filling in one of those players into your cash game, so it was really tough to avoid. So you had Harris English was up there, Tony Finau was up there, Billy Herschel was up there, Siwoo Kim withdrew up there. So all those guys, and we didn't even really have that much of. We didn't really have Siwoo Kim. We didn't really have a lot of Finau. We didn't have him cash, but it was still enough that we ended up getting sliced up a little bit on the cash games. The GPP rosters actually did reasonably well. Mm-hmm. We did own an okay chunk of Gary Woodland, who looked like he was going to cruise to the title. Unfortunately, he just couldn't close out.
Remembered he was Gary Woodland.
Yeah, I know. Had a very mediocre last couple of rounds and didn't close the deal. And out of nowhere, and Pat Perez, who really didn't play due to injury for most of last season, storms back and wins the whole thing. We got to give a shout out to one of our staff writers, David, for PGA DFS. He was all over it. He was one of David's top 3 recommendations for last week. So he had been watching him. He had noticed that Perez was starting to trend in the right direction, and I had a hard time seeing it just because he just really hadn't played that much. Right. So for me, it's tough to give a trend on a guy if he's only got 2 events. Right. Under his belt after an injury. There wasn't really anything in particular that stood out about him. So real credit for David. I know a lot of people ask, we get questions all the time about the PGA DFS model and David's write-up. And what ends up happening is David really tries to take a deeper contrarian style sort of look at the players that are in the field each week. And so he's going to have a lot different types of recommendations than just the pure chalk that you tend to see from preview to preview throughout the industry and that you hear on a lot of the podcasts. And so, if it's something that you guys haven't checked out yet, or if you want to check it out, make sure to give it another look on the site because it is a nice tool. That model's there. David's write-up is there, and he does a really good job with it.
Perfect. Should we do the shot of the week to Fat Pat Perez?
We might as well. To his mullet. To the mullet.
On to this week's event, the RSM Classic in Sea Island, Georgia. Just like last year, the first 2 rounds will be played on 2 different courses. One's a seaside course, which is 7,000 yards. The other is the Plantation course, recently upgraded by Reed Jones and measures 7,000 yards itself. One key item that we should note is that we've noticed that year after year, there's several residents of the area, and they tend to play very well on this course because they're familiar with it. And we have a tool on our site under the PGA tools. It says player database, and you can search by where they're from, their residence or their college. Take a peek on there because there's about a dozen guys in the field this week that are from Sea Island or St. Simon's Island, which is neighboring.
And there's so many guys on the tour who are from the South Carolina, Georgia, Florida areas. So the course is going to tend to play very similar to what a lot of these SEC guys are used to playing and grew up on over the years. So, last year I know we had a few guys who came up a little short along those lines. But it is something that's good to know as far as familiarity with the course.
Kevin Kisner won it last year, though. He's from the area.
Yeah, that he did. Yep, he did. So
key stats this week: strokes gained tee to green, strokes gained putting, birdie or better percentage, par 4 scoring, proximity to the hole, and a little bit of driving accuracy. All of those will be included in our model, but you can change those around however you want. Just download the model and change them yourself. Should we break down the field, Zachary?
Yeah, looking at this week, we get a lot of questions in the fall season. How much should I be playing in terms of strategy, my bankroll? What do I need to be looking at week to week? And what I've been saying week after week as I look over most of these fields is cut it back. I mean, the contests are obviously much smaller, which means that you're pretty much isolating yourself against some pretty top competitors that are out there to begin with. And then when you look at these fields, I mean, when you've got Chris Kirk leading the way in, at 11,300. Yes, he's had a fair amount of success here at this course, as have a couple of the other guys near the top, but it's just not the same quality. And you get down here into the middle of the list, and speaking of lists, look at Luke List there at 9,400. I mean, Luke List was a mid to low 6,000s player for much of last season, and he's been playing great. Obviously, the last few events, he's looked fantastic, but to see him up at 9,400 it's a little bit earlier for me to say, okay, he's established, now he's here, he's really found himself. Let's give him 15 events or so before I feel comfortable paying up, but you don't really get a ton of choice on that because there's just not the same quality in that mid 8,000 and 9,000 range that we have in most other weeks, which it's going to make cash games much more difficult to win. You're going to end up having a couple guys that are going to miss the cut. I think a good 4 of 6 lineup, a 5 of 6 lineup is definitely a winner for the most part, and then a good 4 of 6 reasonably can cash most weeks. So I would say cut back your exposure for this week. Put in a few lineups, use it more to scout out some of the younger players, but don't get in too deep on these.
But now even the younger players that we're targeting earlier in the fall, their prices have creeped up. So guys who we've been on a lot, Ryan Blum is one of those guys.
Right.
He's creeped up to, what's he at, 79? Yeah,
week.
Cody Gribble. I mean, they've had success, and now their price reflects it. So we're not getting that deep discount that we had before on them.
So right up at the top, I think Chris Kirk is there. He's been really good lately.
Yeah, he has
been excellent, but I'm probably still going to fade him anyways.
Probably.
I don't really like paying over 11,000 for Chris Kirk. I would rather in that range go down to Matt Kuchar at 11.2, especially if I'm
love Matt Kuchar at 11.2?
No, I don't love him, but if for a cash game at 11.2, I really want to find guys just to make the damn cut.
Wouldn't that be nice?
It would be nice if you could depend on a top guy to make the cut.
Yep.
And Kuchar is pretty solid there as far as making the cut. And you're going to have to take risks no matter where you go. So if I'm going to anchor a lineup, I don't mind having some exposure to Kuchar and cash up there at the top.
All right.
GPP, I might flip that a little bit and pay up for Chris Kirk, just because I think the majority of people in events this week are going to see Matt Kuchar right there. It's just he's the biggest name that's on this list. And so I think a lot of people will go towards Kuchar. So, cash game's pretty secure, but if I am GPP, I'm probably going to go up to Kirk or probably to Snedeker, actually, because I think a lot of people are going to be attracted to the tournament history there of Kevin Chappell. So I think right there, that's probably worth a pivot. Yeah, he missed the cut last season, but that's really just one event in isolation. This really should be a course that suits Snedeker pretty well.
I think so.
I could definitely see a good bounce back, and he's been playing pretty well. So I think in terms of that top range, that would probably be the way I'd play it. Do you see anybody up there that you will be starting your lineups?
Well, I like Zach Johnson at 9,700. I think that's a reasonable play. He's from the area. I think if you're looking for a cut maker, and you get a little bit of a discount from Kuchar.
I think I love Zach as a GPP play this week, just because he's missed the last 2 seasons down here.
Yep.
And so I think right away when people see one miscut, I think people can tend to overlook. 2 miscuts in a row, and from the last 2 years, now all of a sudden people think, wow, this course isn't a fit at all. There's no way that he can play there. And so we actually do get a pretty decent discount on that, which is cool. And I actually remember last year at this tournament, it was pretty funny. They didn't say for sure, but Matt Kuchar actually went and toilet papered Zach Johnson's house mid-event. and they asked him about it. Who would ever do such a thing? That's just outrageous. We need to investigate that. So, I know that they'll have a little bit of fun with that. But I do like the discount that you get for Zach Johnson, because you can get pretty significant savings there.
The defending champ at 9,300 seems reasonable, right?
I don't know. He's been so up and down. The fall season, the end of last PGA season, or the end of a couple seasons back, and then into the fall season last year, he looked great. I mean, it looked like he had really arrived, and he was going to have a big season ahead. And then nothing happened last year. He really kind of fell back in terms of his game. And we haven't seen really anything all that impressive out of him so far.
I just have talked myself into not being fooled by guys. Just look at the defending champ. Don't try and overthink it. And we've seen it a couple of times this fall. Justin Thomas, Russell Knox, these guys are performing after they win as defending champ. I think people tend to see that, they won it last year. Let's be contrarian and not go back that way. So,
yeah, that does tend to be the case. And I don't necessarily think that he will be that heavily owned, even as the defending champ.
Probably not, because he's right next to Charles Howell at 9,200, and I think he's going to be popular.
That's our guy right there. I mean, He's never winning any of these events. You're never ever going to win another one of these events. CH3.
You're just declaring it right now.
It's never going to happen. He'll never be a champion again. But he's still got a lot of top 25s. I mean, he had 12 of them last season.
Yep.
And until he got hurt, it was just right up there week after week after week. And his price really didn't ever jump too terribly high.
No.
He got up into the 9s a couple times, but at 9,200 this week. And he's from Georgia originally, so he knows this style of course. He's going to be very comfortable with it. He's got 3 top 10s here, so I like CH3 again. He'll be popular. Definitely lock him down for cash. Probably can fade him on GPPs.
Yeah, I think so.
A little bit.
He's rarely going to burn you really bad.
Yeah, and there's other guys within that area that I think will have a little bit lower ownership.
Were you back on the Billy Ho bandwagon?
Yeah, I think I will be this week. This course seems like it should fit his game really well. It's a shorter course. It's more of an accuracy style course. Guys who do well in par 4 type of course. And he only missed last week by 1 stroke, so it wasn't terrible.
Kind of shocking.
Shocking, yeah. He's not a guy that misses a lot of cuts.
He doesn't.
And in a weaker field like that, you would have expected him to have a pretty good showing, probably like a top 15.
Yep.
Somewhere along those lines. But I think he will bounce back. I think the miscut last week will definitely keep his ownership capped. So I think that's a pretty good buy there, especially with the fact that his price dropped down. Was he 86? Yeah, he's 8,600 this week. So if you look in that range of guys, I mean, clearly he's probably the best player out of that range. I'm
still on Ryan Blum, even though his price has creeped up. The guy's been really good.
Well, and then you see the fact that, he's the finishes he's had this year have all been in the upper half. I mean, 31st has been the worst finish in 4 starts so far this season. So I played him in cash the last week. I will probably end up playing him in cash.
I think so.
This week as well. Other guys that are down there in that range, I think Roberto Castro has been really consistent.
Yeah.
Looking at him at 8,200. Not any great performances here, but he's been 3 of 3 in terms of making the cut. He was a cut-making machine last season. And it's another course where you don't have to be a bomber to be real successful.
Right.
So I think his game sets up, so for the most part, I think I can stay within that range and get enough really experienced players along with a lot of the emerging players to have some pretty tight cash games that will seem reasonably dependent as I type them into my computer. I mean, every week when I look at the lineups, I think, God, I don't even see a guy on here could potentially miss the cut.
Right.
And then you get 2,
and then
3
they
of
tee
them.
off.
Right, immediately. Yeah, and then you think, how did I ever put Johnson Wagner onto any optimal rosters?
God
That just
almighty.
seems like it should be impossible.
Ugh.
He was a former champion, though.
Yeah.
So, yeah, who knows? Going down in the lower range, are there any guys in particular in the mid-sevens? Are you confident in Hudson Swaffer to continue the cut streak going? He's actually at a pretty good price. He's
Pretty
at
good.
7,700.
7,700.
I think he's up to, about 15 in terms of his cut streak?
Yeah, I'm okay with him. As tough as it is for guys to make cuts, if he's going to make a cut for you, even if it is at 7,700, which is not ideal, I'm okay with
It's a
it.
pretty good price, too.
Yeah.
So below average, and he's definitely been above average overall as far as the field is concerned. He's another Georgia product.
Yep.
So
another guy I want to like is Brian Harmon at 7,100.
Another Georgia guy.
Georgia guy hasn't had a lot of success at this tournament, though.
It's not like it should be out of his range.
No, I know.
It should be a course that he handles pretty well.
His current form is pretty decent.
He's 3 out of 4, so that's not awful.
No.
He's just, it's always surprised. And there's never a tournament that comes along where I feel like, oh, he could really pop here, and he does. I mean, when he pops, it just seems kind of, I don't know. Oh, look, he's Brian Harmon took 6th place this week, and he's missed the cut here 3 times before. You never really see it coming with a guy, so it's always a little tough to plan around him. Dropping down, I think at 7,100. I think Wesley Bryan's going to be a really good cut maker this year.
Yep.
I don't feel like the rest of his overall game is strong enough to really carry him into contention for a lot of events. But his putter is going to bail him out of so much trouble.
Yeah.
So that even if he isn't in great position on a lot of these holes, he's always got the ability to sink that 15-footer to save par, to knock in the occasional birdie from a little longer than normal that just kind of keeps him alive in some of these events. And so you look at his finishes, 55, 41, 42, but at 7,100, all you're really looking for is just make the cut. Because once you get below the 7,000 range, you get a whole slew of guys this week that you can kind of take or leave. There's definitely some talent there, but it does get a little bit tricky once you start dropping below the 7,000 range. Is there anybody that's kind of down in the sleeper range that you're looking at that's going to be on a number of your lineups? Or
well,
for cash games, is there anybody in below 7,000 in cash games that you'll be focused on?
Probably not. I'm going to go much more balanced in cash games this week.
What about Trey Mullinex?
Yeah, Trey Mullinex, even Seamus Power at 60.
Seamus Power.
At 6,600.
Irishman. I just love that name.
God, he was looking really good last week for a while, but
Yeah, he's been pretty good this season.
he has been. He's not been bad.
He was good in the Olympics. That was kind of the first time where I really noticed him. Finished strong on the Web.com tour. And he's 3 of 4 so far this season. And he only missed the one cut by a single stroke. So, even that was pretty close. And it's 6,600. I think you end up getting a pretty good price. Trey Mullinex is a guy that we had talked about.
Yep.
And another guy who's made 404 cuts, Ryan Brem. So we have Ryan Blum and Ryan Brem.
Isn't that confusing?
It should be fun throughout the season.
More than a few times on Shot Tracker, I've scrolled through and seen Ryan, and I was looking for the other one. I'm like, oh, nice. Oh, shit, that was the wrong one.
I can't wait to get the email or the Twitter story of, well, I thought I was putting in Ryan Blum, and I actually put in Ryan Brem. And either did really well or really poorly based upon that.
Both of them are playing well this fall.
Those are guys I think are pretty good. What do you think about Stuart Sink? Usually I know you're really big Stuart Sink supporter.
I'm a big Sink guy.
Yeah, you're a huge Stuart Sink guy, but he's got back-to-back top 15 finishes. And he's made 3 out of 4 cuts here.
Yeah.
And so
I'm really thrilled.
you're on board, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Big time.
No, I mean, actually, what is he, 3 out of 5 with no great finish.
He's just one of those guys I just will never roster.
We were talking about that the other week. We're considering we should have like a list of just non-rosterable players throughout the season, guys who are perpetual disappointments, particularly when they show up really strongly in a course history,
right.
and they have tended to play just.
And they will occasionally win, but that's the one event you're just gonna have to write off.
Well, yeah.
So when Johnson Wagner pops and wins the event, we're not gonna win.
No, and we have to be okay with that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Can I be okay with not playing the mustache or the non-mustache is the way it is.
And I think Tony Finau might crack that list.
He's going to be on your
too.
list.
Oh my God!
But I love him when he's down at like 8,300, because he will be down at 7,500. He'll be at 8,000. And he's typically a favorite to make the cut and typically a favorite to score a lot of birdies and bogeys. But in DraftKings format, that's obviously really favorable. I have a hard time last week when he was up in the 9s, I had a very easy time just saying, all right, 10% GPP, that's it. No cash. No cash exposure just didn't seem worth the risk for what he does, because he's capable of blowing up. He's had a couple really terrible rounds. The last 2 weeks, he's been just awful the first round and then just bounced back pretty well the second day. But I mean, that kind of fits his style of play. It's really up and down. I feel like there's a range with certain players. There's certain guys that we could probably avoid next season, but there's also probably guys you could just say, when player X is priced between this amount and this amount here, he's playable.
That's fair.
Anything above that amount, gone. Because there's going to be events where you see Tony Finau at 9,500.
Yep.
You just have to say, there's almost no way he's going to deliver value. Right. He won in Puerto Rico last year, but other than that, he's not really a top 10 type of finisher.
No.
He'll give you top 25s every once in a while. Generally, he manages to keep himself outside of the top 10, though.
For my mental health, I don't know, though.
Yeah, you don't like those players that run up. But I mean, like guys like Brooks Koepka, you know, with DFS on DraftKings, you kind of have to ride that roller coaster. Yep. I mean, if a guy is a birdie or better type of a player, you're going to just have to roster those guys and hope they don't fuck up one of the first 2 rounds and can make it through the cut. So,
anyone down in that sleeper range that you'll be targeting?
Well, there's a couple guys. I keep wondering why Xander Schauffele can't get a price increase. Right. He still hasn't missed a cut.
It's only 6,200.
Price is still down at 6,200.
I've owned him every week in the fall.
So, it's weird. Some of these guys, they win an event and they're 8,400 the rest of the fall season, like Cody Gribble.
Yep.
And then Xander Schauffele keeps making cuts. He's had a couple decent finishes, but 6,200, he doesn't need to do anything other than make the cut for you to be pretty happy. And then dropping right below that, Brandon Hagee at 6,100. That's also a pretty reasonable risk return. Probably wouldn't play him in cash. I think I could play Schauffele in cash and be okay with that. Probably will not play Hagee in cash, but I will definitely use him in GPP because you have to go through and find some of these guys. I mean, if you are the type that likes to build, 50 or 100 rosters each week, and you start your team with, a bunch of these guys that are in the upper 9s or low 10 to 11 range, and you have a huge weighting on those guys, you have got to go down into the 6,000 range.
Yep. And
give quite a bit of a weighting down there as well. So I think both of those guys in terms of GPP will be guys that I look at. Mm-hmm. Getting below that, there weren't too many guys that I got real excited about on first look. Maybe some Mark Hubbard, but he's been just awful in the fall, and he finished last season so poorly. So I don't necessarily see much there. There's not much that I get real excited about. So I don't know if I'll dip any lower than right around that 6,100 range for most of my guys this week.
Okay. Should we talk a little Euro action? I'm kind of more excited for the Euro event.
It's a great tournament.
Except for...
there's nothing to play for.
Right. The GPPs on DraftKings are worthless.
So this one's going to be a lot more fun to watch.
Oh, absolutely.
This week. And the stakes are high. What does first place end up getting on this?
I don't know. Well, so it's the DP World Tour Championship. It's in Dubai. They play it on the Earth course, designed by Greg Norman. It's a par 72. It's a long course. It's like 7,600 yards. There's 60 players. It's just like our Tour Championship here. There's 4 guys still in the running in the race to Dubai that can win it. Rory, Henrik, Willett, and Alex Noren.
Noren's got to be. Yeah.
But they have like a $5 million prize pool that they divvy up amongst the top 10 players. So the guys who are currently in there are those guys, plus you have like Tyrell Hatton, Grace, Rafa, Oosthuizen,
Sergio's
Chris Wood, and
Wiesberger,
Thornburg Olesen are
guys.
all sitting in the top 10 right now. So they have a lot of money to play for. So I think it's a really intriguing event. So I'm more interested in this than the PGA one, if the damn GPPs.
Yeah. So if you're playing any style this week, it's a no cut event. So I would have
Star Scrubs.
Yeah,
gotta be.
Can you fade Rory
No.
at all in the cash game? I don't think.
I'm not fading Rory.
No, I wouldn't think. I wouldn't think in a cash game or in GPP.
His tournament history is so sick.
I mean, the last 4 years he's won twice, and he's got a second and a fifth. So
crazy.
That's pretty good. So, and he's got, what is it? Let's see, 6 times he's been in the top 5.
Yeah.
So that's
his long course. He's locked in right now. I'm just gonna lock in Rory in the number 1 spot, and I'll deal with the rest.
I think everybody's gonna do that.
Probably.
It's gonna be real tough. Because with everybody having Rory in cash and in GPP, you're really gonna have to pick through the guys who are in the middle and lower ranges.
I'm okay with that because I like a few guys in the 6 and 7K range.
Yeah, who are a couple of those guys? Just
all right.
Briefly,
so like 7,100, I like Raphael Jacqueline.
Okay.
You like him at all? He's trending in the right direction. He has a T22, T17, and T11 in his last 3. Another guy trending nicely is Ricardo Govea. He finished 3rd last week at Nedbank. He's trending in the right direction. He's only 6,700.
I mean, none of these guys have real remarkable history as you look at the second page, which makes it interesting.
Yep.
I think you probably have to take a little bit of a risk on a couple of these guys. The guy who's been great for us all season, he's only 7,400 this week, is Richard Bland.
Yep.
I think that's probably a good spot to look at. So that would be one. And there's no history there.
No history, but he's a different player. Much like Cabrera Bello, too, is another guy in that price range. He's only 8,100.
He's a much different player. There's a couple guys who've been running really well. David Horsey at 7,700 has been playing really well over the last couple of months. If you're willing to take a little bit of a risk on Shane Lowry, he is a boomer bust type of play. If he has his game with him, he's deadly. If not, look out. But that's the kind of risk that you're going to have to take if you're going to want to have Rory on your roster. Because if you put him in there at 12.5, that gives you 7,500 per player for the rest of your lineup.
What do you think ownership is going to be for like Stenson and Noren up top?
Oh, much lower, because I think Rory eats up at least 40.
He's going to eat it all up?
Rory probably gets, what do you think, 40 to 45% on ownership in GPP, probably higher in cash, maybe 50 to 55 in cash. So I think Henrik and Noren, I think the play in GPP, if you can do it, is to grab Noren. Noren's been absolute fire.
Unbelievable.
What is it, 4 wins?
4 wins,
yeah, this season.
Crazy.
So if you can stomach, fading Rory and hoping he finishes 3rd or 4th, and you think that Noren could. If you're building a lot of rosters, I think you gotta have some waiting. Stenson's got a decent history here too.
Amazing,
He won twice in a row.
Yep.
So I think you have to. If you're gonna play, you have to put in a number of rosters and start some of them with Henrik Stenson as well as.
Well,
Alex
you could
Noren
stack them too. You could do a Henrik and Noren stack as well.
What is that going to leave you? So if you do Henrik and Noren, that's going to be what, 22.7. So that leaves you with 27.3. So then you've got less than 7,000 per player for the other 4 guys.
Yep.
Man, that's rough.
And if they finish 1-2 and Rory finishes 4th, then you're happy.
It's a lock, right?
There's a couple other guys who, definitely have the potential to jump up. I saw on our sportsbook odds versus daily pricing that Victor Dubuisson ranks highly.
At least it's a no cut. It's a no cut.
Yeah,
He's done well twice. He's got a couple of top 10s. This season's
looked good last week.
Yeah, it's been he's a real mixed bag at
huge
every
GPP
event
play
that he shows up at. I've rostered him before. I don't think I've ever caught him on the right week. It is like trying to catch a knife.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And last year was just a disaster for him.
Look at his last 4 events: withdraw, 47th, 3rd.
Yeah, there you go.
So he is a true GPP play. But
indeed,
no cut, so
Yep.
you don't have to worry about that. And how does he keep getting the points to qualify for these events?
I have no idea.
He must have withdrawn from, 4 events, 5? I mean,
Well, he was awful last year, too.
pretty poor.
Thomas Peters and Chris Wood are a couple of guys in that high 7,
That's
low
the thing.
8 range.
I mean, that's the tricky part. Can you fade? Because I mean, in the last 4 years, it's been McElroy or Stenson who have won the event.
Yep.
Can you fade those top couple guys and build a team, like a balanced team that starts in the mid to low 9 range and finishes up in the mid 7,000 range? I mean, you can do that, but if you miss the winner, you're pretty well dead.
But I can easily see Thomas Peters winning. I could see Chris Wood make it a run. You know, those type of guys, I think, could come out and win the event. Even like Hatton, I think, is reasonable.
I think Thomas Peters is going to be kind of lower owned because
probably
since we saw him here at Hazeltine, he really hasn't done anything.
Hasn't he? Didn't he have one good
the last five events, 57, 50, 31, 14, and 34.
Okay.
So he's cooled
14th,
off.
That's not too good.
Cooled off a little bit since the Ryder Cup where he was absolutely on fire.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, at 8,200 this week, you get a pretty good discount. And, I mean, I think everybody here is going to be, pretty fired up to play. So, it should be a fun event. I just wish the contests were a little bit more substantial.
Wouldn't it be nice?
Yeah, you hope so. Sorry, DraftKings.
Not really.
No. Not at all.
Well, that's going to do it for this week. Be sure to check us out on Twitter at Fantasy Golfers. Email us with any questions on strategy or lineup questions. That's info@fantasygolfinsider.com. Anything else to add, Zachary?
I got nothing. We'll see you in about 6 weeks or so.
Yeah, we'll see you in 6 weeks. But don't be a stranger. Be sure to stick on the site. Look for Zachary's articles.
I have some big announcements coming up as far as the site is concerned. We're going to have some pretty exciting news, hopefully within the next few weeks or so. So we'll have a few big things on the way in the next few weeks ahead.
I'm really looking forward to larger GPPs. Hopefully DraftKings can get a live event final for the World Golf Championship. That would be nice for next year.
Yeah, hopefully they'll start it early.
That would be nice. Good luck this week, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon.
Good luck.